This episode is for the writer who has been doom scrolling more than they've been writing. The headlines this month have been sobering, maddening, and frustrating. I've found myself at a loss for how to enact real change in areas that matter to me, and what's come through on my end is an even greater conviction in this work of memoir. Consider this episode your invitation and call to take your story seriously in a world that feels like it's falling apart. Let's talk about it. You are listening to the Memoir Method podcast, the place for writers, readers, and anyone who appreciates the collective power of our stories. In this podcast, we explore the impact of memoir alongside an examination of writing techniques and strategies used in the genre. Whether you are a writer looking for inspiration and guidance or a passionate reader seeking meaningful connections through shared experiences, the Memoir Method podcast is your go-to conversation spot. I'm your host, Charlotte, editor, writer, and the heart behind Charlotte Writes. Let's get started. I admit that it would be easier for me if I did not track headlines. Our world is heavy, turbulent, and full of powerful players across the spectrum who have ill intent. And it would be easier for me to just say, oh, politics aren't my thing. At this point, though, it feels irresponsible for me to not know what's going on. And I'm also trying to balance being informed with doom scrolling. And that balance is a very tough one to find. But here's what I've noticed about why I care about the headlines, because I've really tried to figure out how can I engage in a productive way, in a way that makes me feel like I'm using my gifts and my talents, that I am doing something instead of just consuming difficult things, right? Here's what I've noticed about why I care. Stories have taught me to care about you. Stories have taught me to notice dishonesty, and that bravery often happens in small acts. That's what I've learned from a lifetime of consuming stories, both fiction and nonfiction. So when I read headlines about people who are hurting or who have been hurt, it activates that empathy muscle in me. And even deeper than that, the stories that I've read, again, both fiction and nonfiction, prove to me that the world can be different if we fight for it. And when I think about this world right now, this climate that we have in the United States anyway, it's very discouraging and it's very polarizing. Something else that stories have taught me is that people are complicated. It's not just good guys and bad guys. And that is something that I frequently criticize about my own political leanings, is that us or them. And stories have taught me that people are very complicated. There's a lot of reasons why people are the way that they are, why they do the things they do. And so that lifetime, again, of consuming stories has informed how I want to show up and how I perceive the actual world around me. That's why headlines matter to me. That's why it's important to me to stay informed. Because not only are your stories informing the way that I show up and why I show up, it's also a way for me to live out what I have learned from all the stories that I've read. So here's where you come into play. This is why this matters to you, because you can listen to this and think, that's nice for you, Charlotte, but I'm not quite tracking with you. That's totally fine. Here's where you come into play with this. I was talking with a couple of writers recently who point blank asked me, would anyone even care about my story? Like, I don't even think anyone would care about it. And if these writers have thought about that, then I'm sure that writers listening to this have thought about this as well. This may be a question that you've asked yourself. So I want you to hear me out. If you want to write a memoir, then you are meant to write a memoir. I've talked about this before. If you want to, then you are supposed to, then you are meant to. And also, you're looking at your memoir the wrong way, because your memoir is not about you. Your story is a vehicle for the conversation that you want to have with your readers. That's why your story matters, is because it's a springboard for connection. It's too easy to look at what happens to us and think, but who cares? Why would anyone else care about that? And if that's the headspace that you find yourself in, I want you to flip the script for yourself. Instead of asking, but who cares? Ask yourself, what have I learned that could help someone else? Because that's what you're here to write. It's not just this happened to me. You're here to write about what you learned, the wisdom that you gained. That's why readers will be lining up to buy your memoir. You want your readers to know that there is a different way to live, a different perspective to have, a new way to move in the world. Again, all of my major perspective shifts throughout my life have come because of stories that I have listened to. I've listened to other people. You're not here to write a story that's all about you. You're not here to say, story time, this is all about me. You're here as an author for the conversation that story sparks. Earlier this month, I was feeling some of that who cares energy regarding this very business. And I wondered, does this really matter? And in what I can only describe as an emotional and mental lightning bolt, these words came into my mind. You are helping my children. I need their stories in the world, and I need you to guide them. Me, I believe in God, but whatever higher power you believe in, that's what I experienced when I was thinking about you. Those are the words that came into my mind about you. So when the world is falling apart and you're sitting there thinking, what's even the point? I want you to think about your readers in the same way that I'm thinking about you. Your story is helping God's children. These are precious souls. Insert whatever higher energetic power you desire. That is what is guiding your desire to write. That's why you're doing this, because you are helping divine souls who need help. The universe needs those readers. And you, as a memoir author, you get to be the person who is a light for them. Our stories have real power. It's so easy to feel powerless. But by showing up for your story, you are actually showing up for the readers who are desperate for the conversation you are here to have. When you're thinking about your story and the person you were when you were living out that experience, think about, what would I have died to have? What conversation did I need at that moment that I didn't have? That's what you're here to write, my friend. So I go to church. I'm a frequent commenter in Sunday school. I have lots of thoughts and opinions, and sometimes I do wonder if it's too many. Sometimes I have to go in with a mental, okay, I can only comment 3 times. But when I do say the things that are on my heart, and these are thoughts that have direct roots in my story that I'm writing about in my essay collection, right? My thoughts come from my stories that I've lived. When I say the things that are on my heart, every single time there's someone in that room who finds me later, whether that's in person before I go home, texts me, emails me, to tell me how much they needed to hear what I had to say. And I'm not sharing this to pat myself on the back, but rather to prove to you that you do have something to say. Your memoir is how you say it. And that is why it's so important in this world right now to show up for your memoir. It can be easy to think, well, the world's falling apart. What is the point of me doing this? You need to have a conversation. You are meant to do this. You are meant to lead this conversation. And if you let this go, if you don't follow through on this, not only will be letting yourself down, you're letting your readers down. Readers who don't even know that they're waiting for you, but they are. Readers who need this conversation, who are desperate to have someone who understands where they are and what they're going through. That's what powerful memoir does. And that's what you are here to do. You are here to lead a conversation. My most successful writers are the ones who know the conversation that they're having, and they let that lead and generate momentum for them. So when you're feeling overwhelmed by the world, I want you to remember, okay, I do have something to contribute. And it's not about what happened to you. It's about what you did with what happened to you. It's about the conversation that your story is sparking. I'm so grateful for this work. I'm so grateful for you and for the stories that you share with me. It really is holy, sacred work to me. If you are looking for a memoir editor, I'd love to help you figure out what you need. You can email me or slide into my DMs on Instagram. I'm at the.memoir.coach on Instagram. You can email me at hello@bookishedits.com. I'll also include a link to enroll in the Memoir Method Spring cohort that will be kicking off in April. And I also have a spot open for one-on-one work if that's more your speed and you just want to get started as soon as you can. If anything, I hope that this episode gave you a little bit more hope and empowerment as you try to make your way through an increasingly broken world. When you feel like there's nothing that you can do to help people, pay attention to others' stories, listen, and don't be afraid to share your own. Thank you so much for joining me. I'm so grateful for each and every one of you who presses play on these episodes. And I am so incredibly grateful for the work that I get to do with your stories. I'll see you next week. You've just listened to an episode of the Memoir Method Podcast. The Memoir Method Podcast is presented by Charlotte Wrights. If you liked what you heard, the best way to support the show is to subscribe through your preferred podcast player. And if you're feeling especially inspired, I'd love it if you left a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts. Leaving a review really does help other readers and writers like yourself find the show. If you want to continue the conversation, you can find me on my website at charlottewrights.co or on Instagram at charlottejanewrights. Thank you for tuning in. I'll see you next time. And remember that you have a story that matters.